Welcome so much here to this Facebook live launch for Kessler-Peters. Get that in the right order for Why I Tried to Die. So I'm Marsha Blessing. I'm the publisher of Orison Publishers and worked with Lisa on the book. And so, Lisa, I'll leave you in.
Okay. Hello, we are on multiple devices, so bear with me if my hands are going all over. My name is Lisa Kessler-Peters, as she said, and I am the new author of Why I Tried to Die, which we will discuss is going live today on Amazon. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you would please share this so that we can get this message out to as many people as possible. Instagram and Facebook. And so if you have questions throughout this, please jot them down and I will try to get to them through this. If anything is missed, I'll go back through and we'll see to that afterwards.
Yep, and in the last 10 minutes of the broadcast, we're going to be giving away some free books as well for those of you who are staying tuned for the entire hour that we are going to be here. We have some print books that we will be having Lisa autograph, as well as also some Kindle versions that we will be giving away. And we will do that. So yeah, fun stuff. So Lisa, share with us a book. So when did you first think you would ever write a book, be an author?
So when I lived with my aunt, and she brought into my room a typewriter. So it was the first time I was introduced to a typewriter. And as I sat down and put I remember it so vividly, I put my fingers over the keys and I was like, oh, this is how I'm going to tell my story. It was going to be an outlet for me to get what was on my heart and what I was carrying onto paper. However, I would occasionally get frustrated with life circumstance as a young person, as a teenager, and even as a young adult. I have started writing this book many times and then would rip it up because I would be frustrated with life.
Understand. Well, I am glad that you have it complete, which of course, as we showed, it is definitely all complete. And there has been already reviews that I just want to share that haven't yet read your book. There is Carrie who gave you 5 out of stars. She called the book powerful. And she said, heartbreaking yet powerful testimony of God's power and redemption. I appreciate how real Lisa was in sharing her life story. So where does the book actually begin? Where does it start with your story? How old are you?
The story starts at my first vivid memory. We have glimpses, most people do, of what they remember from their early childhood, but the first vivid memory I have is actually a negative one. And the reason why probably is because our memory is actually connected to our emotions, and it was very emotional moment in my life, and it actually is chapter 1, and I'll just say it's titled Bye Bye Mommy. And it goes through how I got separated from my mother at 6 years old. And I was not reconciled with her until I was an adult.
Definitely, the subtitle, for those of you who don't know, is, I'm going to read it so I have it right, A Story of Trauma, Resilience, and Restoration. So, as you shared as far as the beginning of your life and your first memory, and the way that you share your story in this book, Miriam, here's a review that she had given. She said it's a really personal trauma, abuse, and desperation, and a glorious transition to a life of love, hope, and purpose through the transformational love of God. So I know there's a lot of books today that do talk about trauma. They can be kind of depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. from working with you and so far what people are sharing with us, um, the main purpose of this book, what would you say that would be as people are reading it?
The main purpose of the book and why I wrote it is to inspire and to give hope. Um, Most of my life, I felt like being alive was being tormented continuously, and there was no hope. I didn't think there was a way for me to ever get out of that, and the thought of living was worse than the thought of dying. And so that's why I share this story, is so that other people can get free from their trauma, that they can have hope that there is a life, because that is something that I didn't ever feel would be, and that was a lie.
So, as you're going through the book, because we don't want to share everything with you, we want for you to kind of experience it, as people are going through it. But there are so many hurts currently in the world. Can you share just a little bit, just like some talking points or touch points of categories, if people are struggling with certain things, kind of what some of those things were in your life that you have shared in the book?
So yes, there is a lot of suffering in the world today. One of the things that early on was really hard for me was being a foster child, and not just one time, but many different times. I've been in good homes and I've been in not such good homes. But any time that you're removed from your family, even if your family is unhealthy, it's rejection, because for one, you feel rejected by your own family, but then also the fact that even if you're in a loving foster home, that that's not really your family. And so the thing behind all of the trauma that I went through, and that trauma I'm going through right now, is people don't talk about it. It's like a silent disease that eats away at you over time when you endure things that causes pain, and that can touch any human. Like, you don't even have to have circumstances that I've been through to know that, like, if you go through something difficult and you keep that inside of you, it causes more damage than when you speak about it. And so I never felt that it was safe to talk about any of the things that I was going through, and that caused more injury, because then internally I'm in pain, I'm suffering, and I don't feel like anybody cares. And so that added to those thoughts of why I wanted to die, and why I really just didn't want to be here anymore and suffer anymore.
Yeah, it's the things that we have come through, is everybody has a story. And I know sometimes I've talked with a lot of people, they have problems sharing that story. So as you were writing the book, how did you do with that? How did you do with the people that you were in relationship with through the book, and writing about that? How did that all feel and come to pass? And I will share with everybody that from a publishing perspective, Lisa has changed names throughout. That is standard process to do that. But yeah, how was that working through those situations as you were? Because people know the situation. If they were part of it, they know the story. So how was that for you as you were writing through that?
That was because I said the point of writing the book was to inspire and to give hope. Because when you talk about your life, or you talk about things you've been through, there's other characters and other people in that. So there had to be a lot of praying with and keeping in mind the other players in my story, as to say, you can change the names of people and so on and so forth, but usually if things happen at your childhood, it's pretty evident to show that it was your parents. And so I have fully forgiven my parents and everybody that has caused harm to me. And I wanted to make sure that I protected them to not cause them injury. So um, that's why names are changed. And I never say more than needs to be said in the book to talk about how it affected me. So I never say this person is bad and they did these things and they're evil. I just shared how going through those things affected me.
Yeah, sometimes I think we live in a world that we like to hear all the nitty-gritty details, and they aren't necessary to convey what has happened.
Right, and I don't do that. Like, I say what happens, but I don't go into the details that would re-traumatize somebody that has been traumatized. I was very protective to make sure that did not happen.
So one of the questions that I have been fielding, and I'm certain you have been too, is that is this a book for Christians or for non-Christians? How would you respond to that question?
Okay, so the target audience is both. Really, I wrote the book with the audience to, with the prospective audience to be people that are in trauma or coming out of trauma, people in addiction, people that have been in prison, people that have been abused as a child, people that have been abused by a spouse, people that have had unhealthy toxic behaviors and didn't realize that they did, people with mental health. I've been diagnosed with many mental health things. And tell me what the question was again.
As far as Christian or non-Christian.
Yes, okay, thank you. So the audience is for those people dealing with this. For the professionals, that is like a key, which really covers everybody. Anybody that wants to know why somebody would try to die, why somebody becomes an addict, why somebody is homeless. I used to say people that, this is as a young adult, that people that were in prison deserve to be in prison. People that were addicts chose to be addicts. And it was through my own experience walking that out, because I never thought I would be in prison or be an addict, because I came from that and I just wanted to be the opposite of that.
I think it is also an interesting point for us to share here with the people that are tuned in. What was your major in college?
My bachelor's degree is in criminal justice, and my master's is in psychology.
Yes, so interesting because so often we paint a picture of what we think if we do A plus B, we automatically get to C, and life just isn't that way. So to that point, I want to share with you one of the people that came forward to endorse the book on Lisa's behalf is Robert Reed. This will give Lisa a chance if she wants to engage with some people there online. You can feel free to do so. Robert is the Executive Deputy Attorney General for Special Initiatives for the Pennsylvania Office of the Attorney General. And here is what he had to share with regard to when he had read the book. What comes through for me and why I tried to die is Lisa's amazing courage and resilience. I read her words but cannot fathom how she endured persistent childhood trauma in her home. She went forth to foster homes and a different school every year, and exposure at such an early age to drugs, alcohol, sex, and sexual abuse. On several occasions, I have had the privilege of hearing Lisa eloquently summarize her life's journey, but the book captures what a 10-minute talk cannot: the depth of the harm she experienced and her battle to overcome the pain and trauma against all odds. Speaking with her before her initial talk, I had no clue that she was so horribly mistreated by too many for so long. Lisa is truly a remarkable woman. Her work is an inspiration to all who read it, that even the most inhumane challenges can be overcome with faith and the love of life as expressed by the devotion to her children. So share with us a little bit. So we have the book. People can buy the book. We encourage you to share with your friends. At this point in time, to go on to Amazon to purchase either the printed book or the Kindle version. If you're a Barnes and Noble Nook reader, you can also purchase there as well. And it should be up at this point in time in the Apple Store. So we have the book. So now what? Like how do you plan on, what do you plan on doing with this? What's like the next steps?
Yes. Yes. So one of the things that I'm really wanting to do is do small speaking sessions and also larger speaking, which I've been speaking on my story in that for the last year and a half. And then that's when I realized that professionals really need to have this because like I said, I have my bachelor's degree in criminal justice, and what you learn in college on this and what actually happens walking in that are two completely different things. And so I plan on teaching and helping people to process for professionals to be more equipped to deal with people with trauma so that we're able to divert prison and able to get people the help that they need, and also to help people deal with trauma. And during this season, I also have gotten trained in addition to my degrees. I already am a certified recovery specialist, but I also just went and got my trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy certification. So
say that 10 times.
I really want to help people get set free, because like I had said, I didn't think it was optional for me. I thought that I was going to have to live that way forever, and I didn't want to live. And I know so many people that are in addiction, that are in and out of psych hospitals, that are in and out of prison, feel that way, whether they speak about it or not. And so freedom really comes when we start talking about it, and I'll be bold enough to talk about it so that other people feel safe that they also can talk about it.
So if people are interested in you coming to help them, how do they get in touch with you? How does that look? What do you run coaching sessions? Do you speak as a conference speaker? How does that look for you?
Yes, so I do a variety of speaking professionally. Small group, I do mentoring. I at colleges, and so a lot of those small and large things. And how it looks forward after this week of getting all these pre-sold books out. I do have a couple things lined up to do smaller intimate settings at coffee shops to do like a key audience, like foster care and kind of that, or people in addiction, people in recovery. I work with reentrants. That's like my full-time job. And so kind of like smaller knit things.
Okay. So if somebody would have an interest for you to meet with you, for you to come and to speak at their probation officer training or anything like that, can they just reach out to you on your website?
Yes. That's lisaredeem.com. Also through Facebook, obviously, is a good way to do that. And my email is lisaredeemed@gmail.com.
Okay. And if you are hooking up here through the Orison Publisher link, you can feel free to reach out to me, and I can send you that information directly as well. So here is an Amazon customer and another review that was shared there. Lisa Kessler-Peters is a talented writer and gifted speaker. Her book, Why Life Filled with Sorrow, Abuse, and Drug Use, Culminating in Prison, It doesn't stop there, but continues on with the surrender of her past life to become a child of the King. This is not your secular pull yourself up by your bootstraps book, but a glorious surrender to Jesus Christ, who transformed the sad and sinful young lady into a shining example of Holy Spirit living. Read it and you too could be changed forever. So I know that we shared that the audience is for both, but let's talk a minute about the people that are here and watching that may not be a Christian. With going on Amazon and seeing a review like that. And, you know, I know oftentimes people who are not Christians and see a review like that, they turn it and do a 180 and run in the other direction.
Right.
So, you know, why don't you talk a little bit?
Okay. So, yeah, I would have been that person 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago if I would have picked up a book and it said Jesus on it or God on it or religious on it or anything like that. I would actually have put it back down. I was raised and I had a pull from God my entire life. I was a members only club is the best way I use to describe it. I thought Christians were these good people that I really couldn't be with. And so it would have been a turnoff for me. So I do want Christians to read this so you understand if your story is different than that, or your story is the same, to give you another level of healing. But this story was written for secular audiences, which are people that are not Christians. Try not to use Christianese. Yeah. And also for professionals that may not be Christians as well. This book has practical ways of how to deal with trauma.
Okay. Awesome. So another, let me just share the foreword of this. Talk to me a little bit, share who the foreword is by, a little bit about what she's done and how.
Yeah, that was definitely like a God moment. Dr. Kate Whiteley, she is a professor at Lebanon Valley College, but she also has made a documentary. And so we had a mutual friend. I had never met her, but I'm known in the reentry field, and I'm known for telling my story, not being ashamed of my story. So she was given my information. She reached out and asked to speak at the college at her opening of her documentary. And so I went, and she had not known my story previous. So as I sat on the panel and introduced myself, I talked about my story, and she was blown away. She wanted to get together afterwards, and we were chit-chatting about that I was going into the season of writing the book, and asked her if she would read it, and she wrote this forward, and in addition to that, she will be implementing this book into her curriculum at her college.
Yes, the name of her documentary, if you want to look that up, is called Until We Have Faces. And so, you know, I won't read the entire thing here for you, but just her opening paragraph. This is a story of an incredible journey. In my work with incarcerated women and those in recovery from addictions, I have encountered women who possess a peace Christ promised, one that passes human understanding. For many, this sacred presence of peace was forged in the storms of life. This peace and joy are precious, and Lisa writes that it is not realized in human relationships, drugs and alcohol, psychiatric hospitalizations, and medicines, but rather in a relationship with her Savior. So she does go on to share more, but I just wanted to share that tidbit with you. So, you know, as we're looking at this book and places that it can be used, and Lisa has shared a lot of that and has shared that Dr. Is it called Whiteley?
Yes.
Whiteley
yes.
is going to be having this as part of her curriculum in the spring. at the college that she's teaching. I would encourage those of you watching that if you are also a teacher in a school or a professor, and if you have a desire to help people in this place, it is while it covers a lot of heavy stuff, we're getting reports. What are people saying from a reading perspective? What's happening as people pick this up?
I love the feedback that I'm getting. I have so many people, strangers, people I've never met in person, or people that are acquaintances, and saying, I just had a lady today tell me that she couldn't get to her housework today because she can't put it down. The majority of the people that are purchasing the book are reading it in one day, and I very intentionally short to the point chapters that you just move along. You'll never get to a point in the book that you're like, okay, I wish she would be over this part and be on to the next.
Yeah, so it was structured very specific for that. So I know that there's a wide range of education levels. Some of what shared, like Dr. Whiteley, she's a professor, and she got a lot from it. And there were others that may have a 9th or 10th grade reading ability. That this book is also being able to help them work through where they are currently at in their life.
Yes.
Just want to put another plug. I see we have some more people that have been coming on. If you do stay with us here in the recording till the end, we are going to be giving away some free printed books that will be autographed by Lisa, as well as some free Kindle giveaways as well. Is there any other pieces in the book that jump out to you that you want to share here with the audience? No.
There's so much that there's so much that I could share.
So we talked about where the book started, and we also mentioned, people that were watching, that you have your bachelor's in criminal justice. And did you get that degree prior to some of these things happening in your life?
Yeah, actually, both of my I had prior to my addiction and to my incarceration. And the reason why I chose both of my degrees is because I wanted to figure out what was wrong with myself and everybody else, so that I could fix us. So I was really coming at it from a self-help perspective, but yet had never dealt with my own trauma, had been in therapy and had done a lot of things towards that, but didn't really ever have a change of heart. I never really changed a lot of the mindsets that needed to. And so when life showed up, which it does, and I had some hardships as a young mother, between going through a divorce and then getting a head injury, putting that of the already caused something in me that just snapped. And so even though I was an educated person, that was irrelevant at that point.
Yeah, and I think so often that is really out there. People will drive through certain sections of where they may live or neighboring things, and the automatic knee-jerk reaction is that that's just the place where those kind of people live with problems. And you drive through developments with huge homes, and you think those people don't have problems. And of course, that's just a false perception. And education, I think, is that same way. Things happen in our lives, and sometimes get out of control. So let me share another review that came in from an Amy. She said, her words gave me goosebumps. I laughed, I cried, I thanked God. He spoke to me through her, and I read it right when I needed to. Reminded me of where I've been, literally, even J-Block. what I have to look forward to. So, what does J Block mean for people that may not even know that reference?
J Block is one of the female prison blocks in a local, I'll say a local prison.
Okay.
So it's a female, right here in this area.
Yeah, well, that's very cool. So it probably would be a good idea, it sounds like, to have tissues close by going through this.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of sounded.
Yeah,
She's like,
I actually have asked.
I laughed and I cried. So.
I've asked a couple of people to let me know how many times they cry when they read it.
All right.
And that's even people that know me, because some people know me, but you only share so much. And even when I've spoken, some people that have read the book after hearing me speak, like Robert Reed said, like you can't really, what is said in the book is a whole nother level than is what I share face to face. And it really brings perspective to change. A lot of people, they say, and I've said this myself, like, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with them? Like, you look at somebody doing some outlandish behavior and you're like, what is wrong with them? And so what I want to change that perspective, people stop and think and even ask somebody, what has happened to you? Like, what has happened to you to get you to this place that you are making these choices where you ultimately are like destroying your own life?
So with that, and with the time that we're currently living, and with the whole police situation, and we won't go there from a political stance whatsoever,
right.
But the fact is that you have two people in a situation. You have a police officer that has his life and his garbage, and you have a detainee, for lack of a better word, who has his or her life and their garbage. So with your book, if the police officer would have read your book, what could that have helped to change?
My arresting officer actually has purchased 2 of my books.
Okay.
So it's a very valid question. I actually see him at a speaking event where he was speaking, and he just looked so familiar, but I couldn't pinpoint it. And so at the end, I went up to him, like after he started speaking, I was like, oh my goodness, that's Officer so-and-so. And now he's actually the chief of police of one of the local boroughs.
Okay.
So I went up to him and I'm like, do you know who I am? As I hand him my business card of me as a professional. And he just stood, like he took a step back and he's like, oh my goodness, you look so good. And he hugged me. And I didn't know that I needed that level of healing, but it actually allowed for a whole nother level of healing. And so he's been in contact. He actually wants me to work and do some work with him in the area with like case management and kind of helping people to get the help that they need. A lot of police officers are trying to go from the military type of punitive, the way that things have been for a long time, more of a social work kind of. So what my book does for that is it helps see the trauma that somebody might be going through, the mental health, the addiction part of it. It was very clear, anybody that took time to spend some time with me, really going through it, to see that something was wrong. Yeah.
So this is a question I've never asked you. It might be a strange question. But I'm going to ask it anyway.
Yeah, we didn't prepare for any of this. She's just asking me questions.
Yeah, so we know you had your bachelor's and master's degree, and we know that always paints a certain picture. And so this was your arresting officer.
Yes.
So if you had to describe when he arrested you, yourself at that point, could you, is that something you could do?
Explain what condition I was in?
Yeah.
I can actually tell you what I was doing. I actually lived in a 3-story house, and was on the third floor. It's where my bedroom was. I was in bed sick because that's where I was because of the physical. I had a accident at work, and it talks about that more in detail, but I'll just be real brief with it. And was considered permanently disabled, so I was in bed all day. I would wake up and take enough drugs, prescription pain medication that I was addicted to in order to take care of my children, and then I would go back to bed. So the day that I was arrested, I had no idea that I was about to be arrested. I had no idea that I was going to be arrested for what I was arrested for, because my main charges I actually didn't commit, but there's a million different reasons why I could have ended up in prison. So I don't consider that really part or relevant to this book. But I ran down the stairs petrified and was trying to explain what was going on. My front door was kicked in, and there was in my living room and out front, and there was everywhere, and it was so surreal. It was something that out of a movie scene that I never anticipated would ever in a million thousand years ever happen to me. And there I was. And one thing that I found out very quickly is they don't care what you have to say. At that point, when they have a warrant for you, and I'll leave it at that. It wasn't a very good situation. It wasn't a very good encounter with the police that I had. Yeah.
Well, I think that, I mean, I didn't even realize it was to that extent. And so I think it, once again, stereotypical, sitting in a house, looking at things on TV, so often it is easy for us to be able to pass judgment, on other people and their circumstances and in their situations. And, as Lisa has shared, she's not saying give me a free pass because I didn't do anything wrong. I think in reading her story, having a different understanding of what that looks like. So rather than what your response, I think you said, you used to say, yes, they should be there. Yes, they should go to jail. Yes. Has changed a little bit.
Yes.
Because of what their past has been. Mm-hmm. So here is a review that we have from an Amazon customer. I'm so proud of Lisa and how she truly opened her heart and allowed God to use her in kingdom building. For those of you who are not a Christian, that's a word that they use as a Christianese word. But anyway, I never knew her whole story until reading her book. And serving those in prison and those that are re-entering the community or from a dark place in their life, her book gives hope. Lisa is an example of a disciple of Christ in spite of her past challenges. The love of Christ redeemed her so she could fulfill her purpose, helping those who feels there's no hope, but God is always there. I recommend her book as a ministry tool and as a book that inspires. So I know we've talked for a while as far as non-Christians and the professionals, so on and so forth. But of course, because of the way that Lisa's story ended in the book, not yet in what she has to do, but it is very clear that as a ministry tool, there are people that are struggling every day. The church walls do not block out. Just a bachelor's or a master's degree does not block out any of those situations coming into a person's life. So on that stance, is that an audience as far as going and speaking to women, so on and so forth? What's your thoughts there? For the future, if anybody on this would be interested.
For Christians,
yes.
So I have. The first time I ever shared my story in front of a live audience was at my own church. And that was a safe place for me to do that. And since then, I've been asked to speak at small groups and up to even large women's conferences. I think that had 300 or 500. I can't remember.
Okay.
But yeah, the for Christian purposes, this is just as useful as a tool, and whether it's for your own self as a new believer or as a seasoned, if you grew up as a Christian and you just really don't have a paradigm for anything other than walking with Jesus, this is a very important book to read to really understand what people that don't have Jesus go through. Have some practice how you can help help people realistically instead of just saying give your life to Jesus, because honestly people don't know what that means.
Right.
That doesn't make sense to somebody that's not walking with Jesus.
Yeah. Yes. Pastor Ruth Hendrickson also has endorsed the book, and here's what she had to share. Lisa invites the reader on this journey is the story of her life, full of hopelessness, tragedy, and trauma. Yet in the midst of the most difficult and hopeless of moments, she encountered the living God who repositioned her with a hope and a future. No life is beyond the reach of a loving God, and Lisa's story is a great reminder of this truth. So those of you that are, we have about 15 minutes left with the live show here. If you are, of course, you're watching. If you could just put in the comments that you are here, I think we can jump in and start doing a few book giveaways across the medium, unless there's something else you want to share before we jump into that.
No, whatever you want.
Let's go ahead and do that first.
You guys are doing great.
So yeah, so we're gonna be on our devices here to be able to get some names and stuff up. So let's see here.
So either drop here or in the comments.
All right. So we have the choice of both a printed book or a Kindle version of the book that we're going to be giving away a couple of those. I am the point of contact for that. So if you are, if you're on the Orison Publisher live feed and get chosen, then, you know, it will be easy for me to get your information. If you are linked in through Lisa's Instagram or her Facebook page, I will have Lisa just put my contact information in there, and then she can, I can get in touch with you so that I can get your information. So let's go ahead and start. Do we want to start with your Instagram first? And just do.
I'm gonna have to get it so close to my face.
Just take your finger and point to a person. Like, just close your eyes.
Okay. Okay.
And point to a person. And all right. So who do we have?
We had a Jenny Lush.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So Jenny, if you could send me your information.
Yep, and let us know if you would like to have the print version or the Kindle version. We're happy to send either one to you. Mm-hmm. Just leave us know what your preference is.
Yes.
All right, awesome. Okay, so next we'll go over here onto the Orison feed and over here. All right, my finger landed on Charlie Campbell. So Charlie, if you can please let me know if you would like to have the print version or the Kindle version. That would be great. And the Facebook feed.
Yes. All right. Our winner is going to be Faith Weaver for the event live.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Faith.
Yay. All right, and one more. Today is July the 2nd. So is there anybody on your feed that has the first name or last name that is a J?
A J?
Uh-huh.
Well, I see Joseph on here, but he has already ordered a autographed edition, so I don't know.
Is there anybody on your Instagram feed? I have
don't mind my facial expression. Joyce Howell is who I have on there.
Okay, so Joyce, and that's Howell, Joyce.
Yes.
Whoops. I have a W in there that doesn't belong.
We have five voices going on.
Yep, and I also have scrolling up here. I have Jackie Henry, I have 2 days of Henry, and we'll get the other J person here. Jennifer Lynn, you are also a winner. So please, once again, leave us know if you would like to have the print version, which will be autographed, and I will be in touch with you to be able to send this to you. And if you want the Kindle version, I will send you that link for that free download as well. Sorry, I'm typing and talking at the same time. Not always the best thing. All right, there we go. So that's great. So I think we gave around away 6 or 7 or 8 books, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So if you would like to order the book, as we had shared previously,
yes,
there's many ways. So Lisa, you have a website, you're selling it through there, but what else can they do on your website with regards to this book as far as doing?
Okay, so one of the things that I am doing is asking for people to help me get this book into prisons and psychiatric hospitals, recovery houses, etc. And I've had so much help getting it in to those. There's so many people in need. So if you are able to buy two, and that can be whether on my website or if you want to buy it a different way. One thing I seen on Kindle that you can do is you can purchase more than one, and you can gift those to people as well. So some of the people that really need this book can't afford it. And so I am asking that if you are able to purchase more than one book and then gift it back to me, I will get it to the people that need them. I have a list of people that are in need and wanting the books here locally and in prison to get to.
All right, and if you happen to be from another state, and if you would like for that same thing to happen in your state, there's a couple different options with you. I would encourage you could get in touch directly with Lisa and how to make that happen. If you yourself already have a ministry in that state, and to work with Lisa and helping to get that to in your state, please leave us know that. If you, do not find her information, want to get it from me, you can also feel free to contact me as well to get you set up. As shared earlier in the conversation, we are really looking and leaning on you guys that are also on here today to please share Lisa's story and her book. If you go to the Orison Publisher Facebook page, you will see that we have a book trailer video that I think does a pretty good job at spotlighting the trauma and the different things in Lisa's life to be able to share. So if you can go there, you can share that book trailer to your pages. That would be awesome as well. It is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Should be up on Apple. I haven't checked Walmart, but typically they pick up shortly after it's available on Amazon as well. So this has been wonderful, Lisa. Thank you so much. We want to thank everybody for tuning in here. All of Lisa's fans that have come on from her Instagram and her Facebook pages. Thank you for showing up and supporting her here yet again. For the people there watching on Orison, we want to thank you for joining in as well to learn about Lisa and her story and the book Why I Tried to Die. There we go.
Yes.
So anything else you'd like to share at the end?
I just want to say thank you for everything. There's so many people that are supporting me now that I don't even know what to do with that. It's such a new and foreign concept to me. And so thank you that know me like in real life, and people that have been supporting me locally, statewide, and even all around the country. I have people that even outside of our country that support me, and so this isn't even something that happens just here in America. This is something that happens all over the world, and I do believe that we can have healing, we can have freedom from trauma, we can get rid of shame, we can have a new life. I know that we can for certain, and I do believe that my story can help bring that to life for some people.
That is awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
you again for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Bye.